What's poppin', y'all? Get up. That's what they were telling Idubbbz when he was doing that boxing match, when he was getting the ish beat out of him. And also what's been going on with him right now, because he got into this battle with somebody that he was cool friends with from that YouTube era, H3 Productions, also known as Ethan Klein. And this all started with a clip that Idubbbz posted or allowed to play on his stream a while back.
It's okay. So I do want to say I don't agree with what's being said in this comment here, but I'm putting it on screen because I think it should be addressed because it's a big, bold accusation that's very f***ed up.
So Idubbbz, he resides with his wife that frankly ruined his entire internet career, and he chose her over his internet career, which he also chose her over having any bread, because now the guy's quite destitute. He's not the dirtiest of poor, but he's quite broke for somebody from that era. But what he was playing, and keep in mind, he was using this dragon character to show that it's not him, and he's saying, I'm not agreeing with what's being said here, and he is allowing a Destiny clip, who Destiny GG, the guy that he got hit with lawsuit, he was on this crazy ascension up, and then they just, I don't even know, that Pixie lawsuit or whatever ruined him. But Idubbbz had this hate being posted, and Idubbbz was not messing with H3. He had it going for 40 minutes, and Ethan Klein would tap him on the shoulder. He would say, hey little bro, I'm giving you a chance right here. I'm giving you an out. Or do you want to battle? Do you want to battle in my equivalent of the gladiator matches, which will be in court, and I will ruin you because you cannot afford a lawyer?
Service some fine Canadian lawyers. That's right. Lawyers that specialize in defamation. And by the way, I really don't think that's okay thing to put out. Some fine Canadian defamation lawyers that sent a letter to Anissa and Ian demanding a retraction and a halting of the defamatory statements that I made to my children. And the day after that, the scorched lagoon was slain like smog. There was only one scale shown, and it was the threat of a lawsuit. That's right. It's not because they're principled. It's not because he's above it. In fact, they're hurting bad. Look at him. His is falling off so hard. It's crazy how hard it's fallen off.
So at this point, this was in May. I'm pretty sure like the cease and desist happened, they removed it. And the reason why he's able to go after them, because the comments that were made by Destiny says, quick daily reminder that Ethan from H3 is likely a PDF who has done certain things to his own kids, which is a crazy thing to say. But I don't think he can sue Destiny because Destiny's got bread, but Destiny's also in the US. So you have him taking advantage of restrictive or less free speech laws in places like the UK, Canada, Australia. So he takes advantage of this. And even though the cease and desist happens, it wasn't enough. So Idubbbz would eventually, so they push through with the lawsuit. And then Idubbbz comes out and says, Daddy Ethan, I'm here to bow down and beg for mercy.
Kids out there who do not want to see that. And it's painful. And I'm sure it was extremely painful for Ethan and Hila to read that and have it pop up again and again and again. And just because it's coming from a piece of guy, and I'm showing it to people, like, look what this piece of said. It's wrong. It's wrong to do. And I didn't come to this overnight, right? Like, to be frank, I'm angry. I do not like Ethan. I think he's doing a lot of damage to people online. And it changed the way that I was thinking about it. I didn't think about it. I didn't ground myself. I didn't think about, who is actually being affected in this instance. And Ethan's family and his kids are being affected. I just because I don't like Ethan, I think it's wrong to find an attack vector that is his kids, it's foul. It's not okay. And I think it was wrong for me to use the Destiny screenshot as a cudgel to make my point. I didn't need to use the Destiny screenshot to make my point. There's a million other ways I could have done it, but I didn't. And I regret that I didn't, and I regret that I ever put that screenshot on my live stream. You know, that's the main reason why I feel like I do need, for myself, for my soul, to own up to this and acknowledge that I went too far. It wasn't okay. Ethan and Hila and their family do not deserve that. At the end of the day, whatever happens with the lawsuit is what it is. For myself, I needed to make it known on the internet that what I did was wrong, and I don't want to be that person. I don't want to behave that way. I want to make content that I'm proud of. I don't want to give in to a harassment back and forth online. I want to put my energy into making content that I can be proud of and that I'm not going to be ashamed of because I lost the plot. I want to stay focused. I want to check in with myself and know what it is I want to be and what I want to do and what message I want to spread. And this isn't a message I want to spread. So I'm sorry to Ethan and Hila and your family. You guys didn't deserve that. I'm going to think about all of this a lot more, I'm sure. But for now, I really do want to just get back to making the content that I want to make.
So the crazy thing about this is I believe this is a genuine apology, and I believe it's a lot of frustration from Idubbbz because he doesn't like Ethan. He still hates Ethan, and you can see the empathy in Idubbbz because he's like, you know what? When I thought about it, I thought about the harm that did to H3H3. I thought about how that made him feel and his family and kids, and he believes, H3H3 believes that's off limits, and he can't say anything like that. But he says, oh, it was weird of me to find any attack vector I could because I didn't like him, and I used Destiny to do that. No, you're actually not weird for finding any attack vector you could, because that's exactly what H3H3 did here. H3H3, instead of, I don't know, going back and forth with you, like saying something just as heinous, he found any attack vector he could, and he found your weakest point, which is the fact that you have no money and a lawsuit will ruin you. And the reason why that this lawsuit was such a big deal is explained in part by Moist Critical, who would disavow that lawsuit.
But I just truly don't believe that this lawsuit is in any way, shape, or form helpful to anyone. Outside of the lawyers, they're smiling ear to ear. They're salivating right now, literally drooling with a bib on. But it's harmful to, I think, literally everyone involved and does have potential ramifications for others way outside of it. I have never and will never be a fan of extreme litigation, and I have always been vocally advocating against creators going that nuclear path, and I always will. Of course, there are cases where it is understandable. Like I said, going after the snarkers that sent a fraudulent CPS thing through and the skulls and stuff, that one I do understand. But this one, I could never support that. And I just can't see the real just cause behind it. And I think it is a terrible example for other creators in the space to follow, where maybe they believe that even though this is about like a Canadian defamation lawsuit, well, maybe they can try their luck in the States. You know, it's not like defamatory lawsuits are exclusive to Canada. There's better protections here, no doubt, but still, if they take from this that maybe the way to fight battles online is to go the litigious route, well, then it's just a huge mess across the board. I think it is just a very bad precedent. Even if, the lawsuit doesn't end in a victory for him, this way of engaging with discourse, I think, has always been frowned upon, but for some reason is starting to get some more support behind it, and I just fully disagree with it. I think that this is genuinely just a, big threat across the board to just the entire space. Like, if discourse becomes, fearful of, litigation flying back and forth, it's going to stifle a lot of voices and stifle some very, legitimate criticism down the line. It's just not something I want to see become commonplace.
So he had spoken to Ethan, and he agrees because H3H3, they were the guys that crowdfunded him and his wife. They crowdfunded a ton of money to support them when they didn't have the money like that in a lawsuit that set a huge precedent for content creators and free use, because people are hitting them with they got pursued a lawsuit against them for using copyrighted material, but they argued that, hey, look, this was fair use. It was transformative in nature. It wasn't meant to take away from the rights holders' right to earn money on that stuff. And they ended up winning. And that was a huge victory. So for the guy, like, there's just so much hypocrisies here. For the guy that fought for free speech and the ability to do something like that, for him to come at IDubbz and use a clip from Destiny against him it's just grimy, dirty behavior. However, he would live up to his word, and Ethan would drop the lawsuit, replying underneath the video and saying, "Hi, Ian. I appreciate the thoughtful apology. It means a lot. I've instructed my attorneys to drop the lawsuit entirely." And I think this is it's disastrous, because there's actually multiple vectors where this is happening within hip hop as well, because what you have is allegedly Rock Nation and their ilk, whenever something is being said, whether it is true or not, and it is unfavorable, they will come out and they will take the post down. Like, there was an instance where people were using an image of a member of Rock Nation, right? A higher up of Rock Nation. And they were using an image that was like a Getty Images or, one of these image sites. And as long as you have the logo, you can use it unless you buy the rights. So they didn't like what was being said. So what they did was they bought the rights to that and took it down. And that's the same thing that SZA did. So SZA, the very popular artist, she didn't like this photo of her that paparazzi took. So she bought the paparazzi photo, and then she sent copyright strike takedowns to every single outlet that put up the photo for any headline. It couldn't have been positive. It could have been anything. So she wanted to take that photo and scrub it off the internet. And when you behave like this, and there's a little bit of a difference, I will say, because SZA is doing that because she doesn't want the photo of her out there. That's different from what happened with Rock Nation, is that they don't like what was being said, and they are just using, like IDubbz said, the attack vector of, how can we take this down? Oh, that's a way we can take it down, by buying the rights to this and taking it down. Okay, say less. We're going to do that. And that's how they're going to approach it. And then when you talk about the suing part, we can circle this back to Drake, because Kendrick Lamar's on a track calling Drake a PDF or whatever, and then Drake sues Universal, and they do this whole shebang, no pun intended, where they're saying like, oh man, he's actually suing them to get a better deal. No, he sued because he felt like something that was slandering him on a track, musical track, which is in the US and has the protections of free speech and artistic expression in music, which is way different than the standards of just saying something outright. He sues him because he sues UMG and says they put money behind and amplified the voice of somebody that was saying heinous things about one of their best-selling artists. Or their best-selling artist, which in this case was Drake. And that's he's behaving in the same way that Ethan's behaving, which is Ethan does not want his kids mentioned. Now, he did go back and forth, and I do think he's a little bit traumatized because some people were like sending CPS to his house, like filing random things. He's going through a lot of stress, but that doesn't mean we can co-sign what he's doing. But I do kind of like, he's moving like a gangster with these guys, because what are they going to do? They're not going to pull up on each other. So he says, all right, I'm going to have some people show up at your door and serve you. And you're in Canada? Okay, say less. Well, but the battle is really between H3 and Destiny. And I just think that it's just big bank take little bank activity. So it's, I got a ton of money and I can burn this money, and I'm willing to burn this money. So you better be ready to burn money with me as well, so we can get these lawyers rich, because I don't like what you're saying. And that's just whack. It's whack when Drake did it. It's whack when Rock Nation does it. It's whack when IDubbz is doing it. And with SZA, I think it's whack because people are getting hit with strikes, as opposed to SZA could have just reached out to a lot of these outlets and said, hey, here are your two options. That's where I will say that there is some fairness, I guess, in Ethan Klein, where he's saying, hey, look, you've got two options. You can take this down, it's very slanderous, or I can send lawyers after you. But I think they didn't listen, so they did. He did give a bunch of warnings to other people that he had sued in the past. And then it's up to you. And I will say the most fair person in all of this was Cardi B, which is another instance where somebody's words, in this case, it was actual defamation and slander, with Tasha K. So Tasha K is a drama, gossip, influencer, more like the female space of things, but also does a lot of research on her own too, and has brought forth a lot of new information and things that were facts. But one of the things that was false was the fact that she would consistently say that Cardi B has STIs and STDs and things like that. And Cardi B's like, yo, I don't have this. This is not true. I can show you proof that this is not true. Stop saying this. And Tasha K was like, no, I'm going to keep saying this. And she kept saying it and she kept spreading it. And then Cardi B eventually said, look, I'm going to sue you if you don't stop. She was given the opportunity to just stop and pull it back and say, hey, you know what? Cardi B said this, and this. She just sent me panels and I can confirm that that is not the case. And she could have kept it pushing, but I don't know why. Pride, whatever the hell. She went through the lawsuit. She got sued. She lost. And then now she has to pay this judgment. I don't know how Cardi B is going to make sure she gets her $4 million. But that's a scenario where Cardi B had a good heart about the situation. She said, look, you are putting out false information. Here, Idubbbz was presenting. It's as if somebody has an issue with Drake and he just plays Kendrick Lamar's song. And then you have somebody like Drake suing you because you played Kendrick Lamar's song. And it's like, dog, what? So this is just, we're in a mess of a world right now where you've got somebody like H3H3 so hell-bent on just making an example out of people and just willing to light money on fire because he knows the people that are the most vocal against him are the ones that can't afford to fight back, and he's using that against them. Whereas the head of the snake is Destiny, and he can't get to him because Destiny knows what he's doing. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Does this make Idubbbz look bad? I don't think Idubbbz could look any worse than a lot of the things that have happened to him in the past 6 years or so. But I think this shows him in a good light, which is, hey, look, I'm willing to cooperate. I understand what I did was wrong. And it feels like a genuine apology. And for him to be able to give a genuine apology to someone that he is an enemy of, which is H3H3, just goes to show you that this guy Idubbbz has a much bigger heart than the cold ice box where H3H3's big heart for creators and their ability to express themselves once was in his prime. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.